This week, I've been watching the NBA playoffs, and I can't stop thinking about how much sports in general or the playoffs have to do with building your business. You see, in the playoffs, every team is great. It's why you're in the playoffs, right? Much like when you are online, everyone is good, everyone is getting their clients' results. So, what is it that is going to separate you from the rest of the people online? Or what is it that separates this winning team, the one who gets to take home the trophy, from all the other teams? The difference is mindset. But in today's episode, we are going to talk about the athlete CEO mindset specifically. And it's the thing that I think every woman who is building a business right now absolutely needs. I'm going to share with you a little story that you might not know about me. Growing up, I was not even what I call athlete adjacent, okay? Not even in the sphere of athleticism. I never played any sports growing up, and if I did, it was the sport that used the most gear, AKA equestrian. I was a catcher, I was a goalie, and I played maybe 2 games, and I made my mom buy me all the equipment, okay? Oh, I think I even tried roller skating. Yes, we definitely tried that as well. Had all the roller skates, the whole garb, all the things. Anyway, so I dabbled, but never ever would have been in the jock or athlete world. In my 20s, when I moved out to LA, I found the sport of running. And if you've listened to other episodes, it was a really interesting intro to the sport, because when I first hired my trainer out here, I literally said to him, if you make me run, I will find a different trainer. Like, I hated even thinking about running, let alone actually doing it. But here's the thing, as I got healthier and started to get accustomed to moving my body, I was like, this feels really good. And so I started what I call like closet running. I would go to the gym and I would check around and see if he was there. And if he wasn't, I would get on the treadmill and I would secretly like jog just for like 30 seconds and then walk and then jog and then walk. And one day he caught me. And I was like, fuck, now it's game over, right? I'm going to be doing sprints here in no time. But what ended up happening was something really cool. His wife at the time was actually training for the LA Marathon. And he was like, look, I'm so happy you're running, but like, what if we made you a goal around running? My wife is going to be running the marathon. The day before, they do a 5K. Why don't you, just think about training for this 5K? And I went home that day and I was like, absolutely not. 3.1 miles, I could never. Who do I think I am, right? And I don't know what came over me. He was also a trainer that got me into personal development. So he also had me reading a book, okay? And it was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And as I was reading that book, I just thought to myself, what would a highly effective person do? Like, what would a successful person do? And what successful people do is they stretch their limits, right? So I started thinking, okay, Kaitlin, if you're reading this book and you're wanting to be successful, I was in the fashion industry at the time, wanting to excel as a stylist and, work with more high-profile clients and all of those things. If you are looking to stretch yourself, you need to stretch yourself in multiple areas of your life, not just your career. And so I kind of like went into the gym and I was like, I'm going to do it. Since that moment, I genuinely have never looked back. And the joy that I felt from crossing the finish line several months later, and after many tears and after many I don't think I can do this moments, the sense of pride and accomplishment I felt was undeniable. And I knew I had unlocked something inside of me that I was like, this is a little bit of a secret sauce here. Like, this is something special. I now say how you do anything is how you do everything. And I really got that saying from the building blocks and the skills I got from learning how to run. Because when you do anything like adapt a new skill, it becomes part of your identity. So I am not just someone who runs, I am a runner. I am not someone who has a business, I am an entrepreneur, right? So it becomes these identity pieces. And through that time, I can now tell you that not only am I a runner, but I am an athlete. And athletes think differently about how they execute things. So I'm going to share with you the athlete CEO mentality that I want you to embody as you are bringing in your business. And literally, if you hate working out or hate exercising, I am going to encourage you to find movement that you enjoy, but this episode is not going to have health and nutrition tips, okay? This is about adapting the mindset that these players that we see who win and bring home the gold, what they do in order to get to that point of success, because ultimately that's what we're all trying to do. All right, so here are the 4 pillars of an athlete CEO mindset. The first one is hold the vision before the trophy, before the results are even there. Go Spurs go is all I'm going to say on this one, because shout out to Victor Wembanyama on the San Antonio Spurs, who talks about vision all the time. Okay. So right now he is, I think 21, maybe 22, but I think he's 21 years old. He is in his first playoff series, which is the biggest stage that any athlete could ever ask for. So many athletes just want to get to the playoffs, let alone win a final, right? So he's in this journey and he's been continuously asked, like, what do you think about being here? And he literally talks about how he has seen this before. He has been here before. He has envisioned this for himself. Same thing with Sabalenka. She's a tennis champion, okay? She talks about visualization. Any great athlete whose documentary you watch will probably have drawings or little entries from their childhood days that says where they want to go. Even her name is, I believe, Gabriella. I'm missing her last name right now. She just won in the women's Final Four championship, right? Vasquez, I think that's her name, Gabriella Vasquez. I could be totally wrong on that. But she just also shared about how since she was a young kid, they literally pulled up this paper from like first grade about how she said, I want to go to UCLA and I want to play basketball. And I'm thinking, this is the beauty. This is the secret, right? We need to see it before it has even happened. So you need to be envisioning making those 5K, 10K, 20K months, but not just the money. How does your life change? What are you doing differently? How do you see yourself when you have reached whatever level of success? And maybe it's not monetary, right? Maybe it's speaking in front of a certain audience size. Maybe it is taking your family on a dream vacation. But envisioning it is one of the most vital things you can do to actually achieve it. Second pillar is doing the unglamorous work. It's so interesting when someone has a breakthrough, a team wins a championship, right? They're like, this person came out of nowhere. Literally never. They were up at 5 a.m. doing the practices. They were doing the cold plunges. They were doing the reps. They were doing the workouts, the triples every single day. This certainly did not come out of nowhere. I think it's really important to remember that so much of entrepreneurship isn't glamorous. It's sending the emails that nobody responds to. It's having the launch that maybe you got half of where your goal was. Maybe it is being on a sales call and hearing no on the other end after you really felt certain that that person was going to join your program or whatever it is, right? There's a lot of unglamorous things that we have to do. But the most important thing is still show up for the work, right? We need to be doing the things that aren't always pretty. And when we live in a world of social media, it gets really easy to think everyone's just like has it super simple, super easy, earn 10K months with ease. Like, no, it doesn't happen. It takes work, and you need to be willing to put in the ugly reps. The third athlete CEO pillar is not to let the adrenaline sweep you up, right? Stay the course, stay focused. It's so interesting as I've been watching these playoffs, right? There's big arenas, big crowds. And a lot of these times, these guys are really young. This is the first time they've been there. And so it's so easy to get swept up in the hype and forget everything that you have ever learned. But what makes a champion is being able to stay focused and control your energy, not be reactive. I think that is something I see so much of the time with entrepreneurs is like they have a post that goes viral or they get a big opportunity for a collaboration or, they get their first paid in full client and they're like, yeah, this is awesome. And they get so distracted with the adrenaline and the energy that they forget to stay in their bumper lanes, right? Stay focused. And it doesn't mean we can't celebrate. It doesn't mean that we can't acknowledge that, but also not letting it now be a dictator of our energy or of our focus. And I think that having controlled focus is one of the most underrated things that you can have as a successful entrepreneur. The fourth and final athlete CEO pillar is to trust the process. Trust the process. And I know that sounds so much simpler than it actually is because it's so easy to think like this isn't working. Like I should just change my offer. I should just try this other thing. But oftentimes the good stuff, like the thing you're looking for, isn't going to happen overnight. Sure, there are overnight success stories, but those are far, far, far fewer than the consistent teams, right? Or the consistent people you see at the top. It's because they trust what they are doing. A really good example I saw about in the athlete world is Sebastian Saw. He literally just ran the first sub 2-hour marathon at the London Marathon. It's an incredible thing to witness. He did it in 1:59:30, okay? And what's so cool about this is that this is a record that people have been trying to break for decades and have not been able to do. And they asked him, like, what did you do? And he said, I just trusted my work and I let it rip. And I got like teary-eyed when I read that because it's just such a testament to what happens when you know that what you're doing is going to amount to something. And it might not. Do you know how many marathons I think like this man has run before he did this one? Every single one hoping to get below a sub 2. Could you imagine if after the first one, he's like, no, I should just change all these things. I don't want to run anymore. I didn't do it. That's the difference. That is the difference between someone who's going to get their business where they want to go and someone who doesn't. It is trusting the process and knowing that you are creating a foundation to build upon. Here's what I want you to take away today. You are in the playoffs right fucking now, okay? It's game time, baby. I want you to show up like the version of yourself who is already holding the trophy, who is already doing the thing. Because here's the thing, if we don't visualize it, if we don't show up for it, if we aren't trusting the process, it's probably not going to happen. We got to build that athlete CEO mindset. I want you to go after it. Go get to training, baby. Your coach is calling.